Gentlemen, have you ever wondered why some conversations spark instant attraction, while others seem to fizzle out, leaving only awkward silence? The truth is, your words have power, immense power. They can build connections that last a lifetime or create distance faster than you can blink. Most men fall into the trap of thinking they have to share everything about themselves to gain trust and affection. But here's the kicker. Oversharing, especially in the early stages, can sabotage even the most promising relationships. Let's face it, the world of dating today is filled with misconceptions. Society tells you to be an open book, to pour out your feelings and past experiences like a contestant on a reality show. And while vulnerability is important, there's a right time and place for everything. Now, what if I told you that knowing what not to say could be your secret weapon? That by exercising a little restraint, you could elevate your status, command respect, and build a connection that thrives on authenticity and intrigue. This isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about mastering the art of communication, a skill every high-value man should have. Imagine a world where your interactions leave her wanting more, where every word you speak strengthens her perception of you as a confident, self-assured, and grounded man. That's exactly what we'll uncover today. By the end of this journey, you'll learn the 5 things you should never tell any girl if you want to keep your power and stay true to your values. These are lessons rooted in timeless wisdom, including the teachings of Stoicism, which prioritize self-awareness, emotional composure, and intentionality. Stick with me, and I promise you'll walk away with insights that can transform your relationships for the better. Ready? Let's dive into the first thing you should avoid: revealing detailed future plans too soon. 1. Don't reveal detailed future plans too soon. Picture this. You've just started seeing someone new. The chemistry is undeniable, and every conversation feels like an adventure. Excited by the connection, you start imagining a future together: weekend getaways, family gatherings, maybe even a cozy home in the countryside. Without thinking, you bring it up. "I could totally see us traveling together next summer." She smiles politely, but her eyes tell a different story. You've crossed an invisible line, one that's often overlooked in the early stages of dating. Why is this a problem? Because when you reveal your detailed future plans too soon, you risk creating unnecessary pressure. Even if your intentions are pure, these conversations can make her feel like she's being fast-tracked into a commitment she's not ready for. The excitement you feel about the future may not align with her current emotional pace, and suddenly what felt natural to you might feel overwhelming to her. Here's the thing: relationships, especially in their infancy, are like delicate seedlings. They need time, space, and the right conditions to grow. Jumping ahead with vivid future scenarios can stifle that natural progression. It's like trying to force a flower to bloom before it's ready. Instead of enjoying the present and letting the connection unfold organically, you're introducing elements that may not yet belong. Think about this. Have you ever been in a situation where someone's eagerness made you pull back? Maybe a colleague was too eager to befriend you, or a friend assumed a level of closeness that felt premature. It likely made you feel uneasy. The same applies in romantic relationships. By focusing too heavily on the future, you risk skipping crucial steps that build trust and emotional security. What's the solution? Patience and presence. Embrace the here and now. Take a page from the Stoic playbook and remember Marcus Aurelius' advice. Confine yourself to the present. When you focus on enjoying your time together in the moment, you create an environment where the relationship can flourish naturally. This doesn't mean you should avoid talking about your aspirations or values altogether. On the contrary, sharing your vision for life can help build alignment over time. But there's a difference between sharing your general life philosophy and outlining a 5-year plan with someone you've only known for a few weeks. The former invites connection, the latter can feel presumptuous. That when the time is right, discussions about the future will emerge naturally. By then, you'll have built a foundation of trust and mutual understanding, making those conversations exciting rather than daunting. Until that moment arrives, keep your focus on creating memorable experiences together, and showing up as your best self. So next time you're tempted to say, "I can't wait to introduce you to my family," or "we should plan a vacation," take a breath. Ask yourself, is this conversation adding value right now, or am I rushing the process? Remember, the most captivating stories are those that unfold at their own pace, with each chapter leaving you eager for the next. Stay tuned, because the next lesson is equally powerful. Understanding the fine line between vulnerability and oversharing. Don't go anywhere, you won't want to miss this. 2. Avoid overly emotional confessions early on. Let's be real. There's something incredibly magnetic about vulnerability. It's what transforms surface-level conversations into meaningful connections. But here's the catch: vulnerability, when misused or mistimed, can backfire spectacularly. You see, being open about your emotions too soon doesn't just make you appear overly eager. It can overwhelm her and even create a sense of imbalance in the relationship. Imagine this scenario. You're on a third date and everything is going great. You're laughing, sharing stories, and feeling that spark of connection. Then, out of nowhere, you drop a heavy emotional confession. "I've been through some really dark times. Let me tell you about them." The mood shifts. Her smile fades and suddenly the light, playful energy turns into a weighty, serious atmosphere. What was meant to draw her closer now feels like a burden. Why does this happen? Because emotional confessions, especially in the early stages, require context and trust. Think of emotional vulnerability as a gift. It's precious and should be shared with those who have earned it. When you reveal too much too soon, it can feel like you're asking her to carry emotional baggage she hasn't agreed to hold. It's not that your feelings or experiences aren't valid, it's that the timing is crucial. Here's a thought. Have you ever met someone who overshared early on? How did it make you feel? Chances are, it left you questioning their emotional stability or wondering if they were seeking validation. This isn't the impression you want to leave. High-value men understand that trust is built gradually, and emotional intimacy is a journey, not a sprint. So how do you strike the right balance? Start by practicing emotional restraint. This doesn't mean you should be cold or distant. On the contrary, it's about revealing layers of yourself thoughtfully, in alignment with the pace of your relationship. Let her get to know you in stages. Share lighthearted stories, discuss your interests, and show your character through your actions. Allow her to discover your depth naturally rather than handing it all over at once. Take inspiration from Stoicism, which teaches the importance of emotional composure. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Apply this wisdom to your relationships. Instead of seeking validation through emotional confessions, focus on how you can manage and channel your emotions productively. Another important point, emotional vulnerability isn't just about sharing your struggles, it's also about listening. If she opens up to you first, this is your opportunity to create a safe space where she feels understood and valued. Respond with empathy, but resist the urge to counter her story with one of your own. Let the spotlight remain on her, reinforcing the idea that you're emotionally present without making it about you. Remember, vulnerability is a two-way street, and timing is everything. When both of you have established trust, those deeper conversations will feel natural and welcomed. Until then, focus on creating an environment where lightheartedness and emotional security coexist. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where sharing too much too soon affected your connection? Or have you been on the receiving end of someone else's emotional overshare? Let's learn from each other's experiences. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this resonates with you, give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who could use these insights. Your engagement fuels our journey into mastering Stoicism and becoming the best versions of ourselves. Stay tuned, because the next part will dive into why you should steer clear of financial discussions early on. You won't want to miss it. 3. Steer clear of discussing financial status in early conversations. Money, one of the most talked about yet misunderstood topics in relationships, It has the power to build empires and the potential to destroy connections. But here's the thing. In the early stages of getting to know someone, bringing up your financial status can be a double-edged sword. While you might think discussing your income, investments, or future wealth plans shows ambition and stability, it can send unintended signals that could derail your budding connection. Picture this. You're out on a date, and the conversation shifts to life goals. Eager to impress, you casually mention your recent promotion or how you're eyeing that new sports car. Her eyes flicker with polite interest, but inside she might be wondering, is this guy trying to buy my affection? Or is he more focused on impressing me than genuinely connecting? The very topic you hoped would highlight your value now risks painting you as someone who equates worth wealth. Why is this a misstep? Because in the early phases of a relationship, she's not looking for a ledger of your financial assets. She's trying to uncover the real you. Discussing money too soon can create unnecessary pressure, making her feel like she's being evaluated for how well she fits into your future financial narrative. Even worse, it can shift the focus from emotional connection to material expectations, which is the last thing you want. Here's a question. How would you feel if someone you just met started listing their financial achievements as a way to impress you? Likely it would feel less like a conversation and more like a sales pitch. Authentic attraction thrives on shared values, humor, intellectual curiosity, and emotional depth, not on how fat your wallet is. Now, this doesn't mean your financial stability isn't important. It absolutely is. But the key is in how and when you bring it up. Let your financial discipline and ambition show through your lifestyle choices and actions. If you're financially secure, it will naturally reflect in how you carry yourself, the confidence with which you make decisions, the thoughtfulness in planning dates, and even in your ability to remain calm under pressure. These subtleties speak louder than any direct mention of your bank balance ever could. The teachings of Stoicism remind us to focus on what we can control: our character, our reactions, and our personal growth. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When you lead with your values and integrity, your financial status becomes a quiet backdrop rather than the main act. It's a way the relationship evolves on a foundation of trust and genuine compatibility, not material metrics. There's another layer to consider. Financial discussions can often be misinterpreted. If you highlight your wealth too soon, it might attract those who are more interested in what you have than who you are. On the flip side, downplaying your financial success or struggling to define your relationship with money might give off an unintended impression of instability. Both scenarios can be avoided by simply holding off on these conversations until the relationship has reached a stage where mutual trust and understanding are firmly established. Instead, in the early stages, focus on shared experiences that reveal your values. Take her to a place that holds personal significance, not because it's expensive, but because it tells a story about who you are. Show her that your time, attention, and creativity are your most valuable currencies. These are the things that forge a deeper bond, one that is far more resilient than any financial milestone. In time, discussions about finances will naturally find their place, especially when you're building a future together. But for now, let your actions and character speak for themselves. A high-value man knows that true wealth isn't flaunted, it's quietly lived. 4. Don't dive into past relationship details. We all have a past. It's filled with lessons, triumphs, and yes, mistakes. But when it comes to dating, one of the biggest pitfalls is diving headfirst into detailed accounts of past relationships. It's tempting, isn't it? You think sharing your history will show that you're honest, experienced, or even emotionally available. But more often than not, it does the exact opposite. Imagine you're on a date, and the conversation steers toward past relationships. You begin recounting your last breakup, explaining how it ended, what went wrong, and what you learned. While your intention might be to show growth, here's what she might actually be hearing: comparisons, unresolved baggage, or even bitterness. You've now shifted the focus from building something new to analyzing something old. Why is this such a dangerous move? Because early conversations should be about discovery and connection, not rehashing the past. Talking too much about exes can make her feel like she's competing with someone who's no longer in the picture. Even worse, if your stories paint your ex in a negative light, it could leave her wondering how you might speak about her in the future. Here's a thought. How do you feel when someone overshares their past romantic woes with you? Does it make you feel closer to them, or does it make you question whether they've fully moved on? High-value men understand that the past is a chapter, not the whole book. While it's important to acknowledge where you've been, dwelling on it can prevent you from focusing on where you're going. So how do you navigate these conversations? Start by keeping things light and general. If the topic of past relationships comes up, be brief and neutral. A simple, "I've had relationships that taught me a lot about what I value," is enough to show maturity without delving into unnecessary details. This approach not only keeps the conversation positive, but also shows that you're focused on the present. Remember, the goal is to build trust and intrigue, not to overwhelm her with stories of heartbreak or drama. And when the relationship matures and trust is established, there will be plenty of time to share deeper aspects of your past. But in the early stages, less is more. This principle aligns beautifully with Stoicism. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." By choosing to focus on the present and future, you embody the qualities of a man who is not defined by his past but empowered by his growth. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever found yourself caught in a conversation about past relationships that didn't go as planned? Or perhaps you've experienced the discomfort of being on the receiving end of too much information. Share your experiences in the comments below. If you're finding value in these insights, give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Your engagement helps build a community of high-value men who are committed to personal growth and meaningful connections. Let's keep the conversation going. 5. Avoid highlighting personal insecurities too early. We all have insecurities, those quiet doubts and fears that linger in the corners of our minds. They're part of what makes us human, but when it comes to building attraction and connection, revealing these insecurities too soon can be a stumbling block. Why? Because the early stages of a relationship are all about discovery, confidence, and intrigue. Bringing your insecurities to the forefront prematurely risks shifting the focus away from connection and toward uncertainty. Imagine this. You're on a first or second date, and everything is going well. The conversation is flowing, and there's a spark of chemistry. Then in a moment of vulnerability, you say something like, "I've always felt like I'm not good enough in relationships," or "I'm worried I'll never truly find someone who understands me." Suddenly, the dynamic changes. What was once a light, engaging interaction now carries the weight of your self-doubt. While your intention may be to foster intimacy, what you're actually doing is placing emotional labor on her shoulders far too soon. She may start to feel responsible for reassuring you, or worse, she might question whether you have the self-confidence necessary to navigate a healthy relationship. Remember, attraction often thrives on confidence and self-assurance. By laying your insecurities bare, you risk undermining the very qualities that drew her to you in the first place. Now, this doesn't mean you should bury your insecurities or pretend they don't exist. Far from it. High-value men understand the importance of self-awareness and growth. The key is knowing when and how to share these vulnerabilities. Early on, it's essential to present yourself as someone who is confident in their worth, even if you're working through personal challenges beneath the surface. Confidence doesn't mean being flawless. It means owning your journey and striving for continuous self-improvement. Consider this. Instead of verbalizing your insecurities outright, let your actions demonstrate your resilience. If you've struggled with self-doubt in the past, show how you've grown by embracing new challenges, pursuing your passions, and maintaining a positive outlook. This not only conveys strength but also creates a more compelling narrative. She'll see a man who is not defined by his insecurities but empowered by his ability to rise above them. Stoicism provides a powerful framework for managing insecurities. The philosophy teaches us to focus on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and reactions. Marcus Aurelius reminds us you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. When you internalize this wisdom, you become less concerned with external validation and more focused on cultivating inner peace and confidence. Over time, as trust and intimacy deepen, there will be opportunities to share your insecurities in a way that strengthens your connection rather than undermines it. By that point, she will have already seen your character, your strengths, and your values. She'll view your vulnerability as a testament to your authenticity, not a plea for reassurance. So, as you navigate the early stages of a relationship, remember this. Your insecurities don't define you, and they don't need to be the focus of your interactions. Lead with confidence, embrace growth, and trust that the right person will appreciate not only your strengths but also the quiet courage it takes to face your inner battles. Let your actions and mindset speak volumes about the high-value man you are. And there you have it, the 5 things you should never tell any girl in the early stages of a relationship. Each of these points is more than just a tip. They're foundational principles that can help you cultivate deeper, more meaningful connections while maintaining your sense of self-worth and integrity. At the heart of all these lessons lies one simple truth. Relationships flourish when built on a foundation of trust, respect, and mutual understanding. By avoiding the pitfalls of oversharing, whether it's about your future plans, emotional struggles, financial status, past relationships, or personal insecurities, you create space for genuine connection to grow naturally and authentically. As you reflect on these insights, ask yourself, how can you apply these principles in your interactions? What steps can you take today to become the confident, grounded, and self-aware man that others are drawn to? Remember, Stoicism teaches us that true happiness and fulfillment come not from external validation, but from cultivating inner strength and living in alignment with our values. Your journey to becoming a high-value man is ongoing, and every conversation, every interaction is an opportunity to practice these principles. So take what you've learned here, apply it to your relationships, and watch how it transforms the way you connect with others. And thank you for joining me on this journey. Here's to your growth, your confidence, and your future connections.